to Good Morning Sri Lanka. We were having a wonderful discussion earlier with our young artists, and unfortunately Asad had to leave us, but our new guest is very interesting because his parents probably couldn't keep him from wreaking havoc all over the walls, because right now he is a very well-known graffiti and graphic artist, and it is our great pleasure to welcome Samuel Niruban to the set of Good Morning Sri Lanka. Welcome and good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
It says here that you from your childhood days, you've been creating havoc at your place.
Yeah, creating havoc for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I mean, tend to scribble on the walls and things like that.
And that's not so long ago, yeah?
Yeah, that's the best part.
Exactly.
So my childhood started in my 20s.
That's what I'm talking about, okay.
So this was after leaving school, and then trying to figure out what to do next, and then that's when you figured out that you could draw on walls, and it's interesting.
So getting it right, basically in your 20s you started scribbling on your walls.
Pretty much, yes.
Perfect.
What was the inspiration behind that? Like you saw a blank wall and you said, that looks like it needs to be filled.
Yes, and also, I mean, at that point only I started, looking at the street art scene that was in other countries through the internet.
Okay.
So I'm an internet generation kid, so everything I know is through the internet. So you see that people do crazy stuff on walls, and I'm like, why can't I do that? Then I also found that a lot of stuff they use is stolen, so I couldn't, like the spray cans they use, they steal it from hardware stores, so I couldn't do that. Right.
Okay.
So it started as a hobby, yeah?
And we have some of your work on the screen as well. Where was this, if you could
this is actually done on the computer.
Okay.
I do a lot of work digitally. Okay. So these are sort of illustrations I've done for various stuff. That was done on my rooftop wall. That is graffiti done with newspaper.
This one?
Okay, this one is this one? This one again is done on a wall. It's a 20-foot by 60-foot wall.
Okay.
So it took us about 2 days to finish painting that one.
Is it just you who works on the wall, or do you have a group of people who help you out?
Like, I have a few friends who sort of come and help me out. They're mostly younger than me, but so I draw the outlines and I color this, color that, and they go and...
How old are they?
They're like 18, 19.
So you learn to color in between the lines and all of that when you're 18. That's good.
Yeah, so it works.
So basically all the concepts are your own, or is it like a discussion with your peers and then you come to a conclusion?
You put the idea out and then...
So you have a brainstorming session?
Yeah, sort of. Okay. And then they're like... So I ask them to come up with stuff, and they're like all like looking at me like, you do it, we'll just color between the lines sometimes. So sometimes they come up with ideas and I'm like, okay, let's put that in. So it's fun. I mean, working with... most of the time artists work alone, but it's fun to sort of work with other people. So yeah, they put in the ideas, and then I say, okay, this is how it's going to go, because you got to figure out how it works.
Niruban, you have a very interesting street art name, I heard.
Yep. It's like a thing in the street art scene. There's no street art scene in Sri Lanka yet, but you gotta have one, right? So I picked P413.
P413.
Yeah, P413.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's for a verse in the Bible, and it's something very personal to me, and I choose to use that as my representation. So yeah.
That's lovely.
Okay, P413. The next question is going to be any special projects that you've done. I know that you've turned this hobby into a career. Yeah?
Yes. Okay, special projects. Last year I did an experimental video with ultraviolet lights. That was probably the biggest project I've done. I did it alone, like in the sense that I ran the entire project alone. I also that's the one. So I wanted to create the whole video game.
How did you do this?
It's a dark room with UV lights, and what you see are the materials that are illuminated by the UV lights.
Okay.
So these are the guys I work with.
Those are people.
Yeah, with costumes. So like, I mean, we went from scratch. We did up the costumes and the little glowing special effect thingies and all of that.
So do you know what it's going to look like beforehand, or?
Yeah, we had to do a lot of experimentation. You know, we had to like, in my room, shut off all the lights, put the UV lights on, and then figure out okay, we figured out this material works, this doesn't.
Yeah.
A lot of experimentation involved. So yeah, that's probably my biggest project so far. And I just finished working for my solo debut exhibition. So that's like 2 big projects that I worked on so far.
Okay, some good news is coming on the show. It's a surprise for the both of us as well. Up until just now, you're going to draw us.
Yeah,
I heard.
Yeah.
Is it true?
I could, but then
you should.
But then you guys must promise me that you won't like get pissed off with me or something like that.
We won't get annoyed. We won't.
You're sure? Because my drawing is generally warped. It's a bit twisted.
That's okay.
Fine.
We are going to have warped versions of us in the morning. That's okay. That's all right.
Fine. I'll give it a shot and see how it goes.
All right. Well,
moving on to Sachin, I think there were a few more pictures that we really want to discuss with you, because it's not just people that you focused on. You have focused on a lot of different sort of subjects in your work. If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I love to travel, and so travel photography and wildlife photography is again like one of my passions, because I come from a family of wildlife fanatics, and like I've been going to all these national parks since I was a toddler. So my parents actually tell a story about how, you know, they used to take pictures at the jungles, and I used to demand a camera.
Really?
And they gave me a toy camera, and then like a little while later I realized no pictures were coming out of it. So they actually gave me a small camera, like back when, like about 20 years ago. So that's actually how I started doing photography as a hobby. And apart from that, I actually do conceptual shoots as well. You will see a maternity shoot that I did with a friend. So
if you could explain that a little bit. What do you mean by conceptual shoot?
Where we sit down and discuss a shoot, and we try to do it in a different way, like as in like come up with a theme and come up with an idea and shoot accordingly, rather than just go out there and shoot.
So like an entire portfolio of just that theme?
Yes, something planned out. So I mean, my friends are my guinea pigs usually. So yeah.
So Sashini, throughout the process, were your parents 100% supportive, or how did you tackle them?
I didn't have to tackle them at all. I'm very fortunate that way. There are parents who allowed me from a very young age to do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And well, even at times when I wasn't very clear on what I wanted to do, they have still been supportive, and now they can't really keep up with whatever it is that I'm doing at any given moment, because I dabble with a lot of different things. I juggle a lot of things. But they have been very, very supportive, and I've been fortunate in that way.
All
right. We have some of your pictures
in a couple of seconds.
that you just spoke about. Yes,
yeah.
All right.
Some of the wildlife pictures, and a couple of them on screen.
There you go.
There you have it.
Yeah, so that is actually a picture I took at a rally, a demonstration, because I'm part of a women's organization, and this is a shoot where I just asked my friend to jump around. And again,
what about this?
Yeah, again another friend. Like we actually did a portfolio shoot for her, and then we decided to do something a little darker. And this is actually a picture I took just after these are all pictures I took just after the war ended.
So these are all thematic, or just do they all follow a certain theme, or is it just random pictures that you take when you're traveling?
These are random pictures, but I mean a recurring theme in my pictures would be women and girls. Like even not known, like unconsciously, like I've like gathered a big collection of pictures of women and girls that I meet everywhere I travel.
I see.
So
is there anything like for all those photography buffs out there, if you could tell us a little bit about the composition of the picture, something that you keep your eye out for, especially in those, because you don't ask people to pose, you just click those pictures. So how do they really watch out for those things, those important things in photography?
Well, I can't teach anyone about photography because I don't consider myself to have, I'm still learning a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, the rules are there to break, which is what I think. So the tips would be just to be on the watch out for interesting faces, and not to be reluctant to, and not to be lazy as well to take those shots. And yeah.
There are really a few people in Sri Lanka who do what you do. So do you feel there any sort of competition from any other, or does it help for you that there are only a few people doing it?
Doing music photography?
Exactly. And what you're talking about, the wildlife aspect as well.
Not a few. I would say there are lots of people doing this, and a lot of people doing it better than me in certain aspects.
Okay.
But for an example, music photography, I was one of the first people who started taking pictures very seriously at these gigs where,
and majorly rock at that, yeah?
Yeah, rock and metal. But now we have a big group of people, most of the time there are more people with cameras there down there than the people who are on stage. And I think that's a great thing, because then after a gig you get so many different angles of the, so many different perspectives of the concerts. And it's a great thing. I like it.
And Sachini, you're such a career woman. You have so many different things happening in your life. Tell us a little bit about what makes you who you are.
Okay. I'm a law graduate, and after that, during my university years, I was at the University of Colombo. I joined a women's organization on a part-time basis, just to get some experience, and I have remained there for the last 4 or 5 years. This is about my 5th year there. And I actually I'm a researcher as well, so I did some research on new media, that is ICTs, information and communication technology, and how women are engaged in ICT and new media. And with the findings of that research, I founded the New Media Unit for Women and Media Collective, which is the organization that I work for. And through that unit I have been doing various things, I have conducted online campaigns, which is where there is a global campaign called the 16 Days of Activism Against Violence Against Women. So for that campaign I tried to do an online campaign where I got people to write in their experiences or creative writing, photography, to contribute in various ways. So that was quite successful, and we've been doing it for several years.
Okay.
And also I explore different ways of using new media, like Facebook is so popular now, so how do we use it to further our work as well? So those are the kind of things that I've been looking at. Yeah.
And this might be a little bit of a cliche question, but I have to ask you, as a woman who is multi-talented and somebody who is trying out something like photography, and you take a lot of unconventional pictures at unconventional places, what is the response that you get? How do people respond to you?
As a woman, is it?
As a woman, as a female photographer.
I have never experienced anything bad or discouraging, I would say, because again, going back to music photography, at these gigs, especially at heavy metal gigs, it's all mostly it's boys and men everywhere, and moshing and shaking their heads and jumping around. So then you really need to have some guts to take an expensive camera and go in there and take
and you need to have some guts to just go in there.
Yeah. But I have never experienced anything bad in that sense. So so what I try to do with my photography again is as a woman and also as a feminist, I try to put that outlook out there with my pictures as well, especially some of the things you saw from the internally displaced persons camps and things like that. So that's something that unconsciously goes